Hello, everybody. All right. So it's just me today here and Captain. So what we're going to do is let everyone give us a sound check, please. And then we're going to see if Mary pops up. Hey, Mom, how are you? We're going to see if Mary pops on. We're going to split the screen and see what that looks like. Otherwise, we'll just get started here. All right, Mary, I don't know if I can do the invite thing. So it's going to have to be you want to get in. Well, hello, everybody. Perfect. Thank you, Beth. All right. So today, Mary is in Florida, Boca. She's in Boca, visiting her parents. It was a good timing situation. Let's see. All right. How you doing, Mary? You out there? You gonna jump on that screen? Well, we'll give her a second. Where's everybody watching from? We always like to hear that. Chris, what's going on? How are you, buddy? All right, all right. Let me adjust that and see if I can adjust that without dropping my phone. So it's really weird doing this by yourself. Oh, Beth, is that where you're watching from? All right, Maine, awesome. That's cool. All right, Mary Cuticelli wants to join you on the video. Approve. Join the live, send invite. I think that's gonna work. Adding, it says adding. I don't even know how to see how to request. I think it worked.
All right, I think it worked.
Okay, so let me turn my volume up a little bit because I can actually hear you, Mare.
I can hear you.
Actually, I can hear you a little bit, but my volume's turned all the way up.
It could be, is that any better?
Actually ask them how they can hear you because it's more important for them to hear you.
Okay, there she is.
Are those windows behind you? Are they like steamed up, or is that no? That's a reflection off a painting.
Yeah. No, that is the window.
Okay.
The lighting.
So can you guys hear her correctly?
Beth says she can hear us both.
Okay,
both
so
it
must mute your sound to me a little bit on purpose.
Okay.
So I can sort of hear it. Can you hear me perfectly, or is it muted
I
a little bit?
hear you perfectly. And everyone is saying they can hear us both fine.
Okay. Well,
all right.
We'll go with it. Okay, electrical. So there's a lot to talk about with electrical. And, you know, something that we get asked all the time is what, you know, if I have a 100 amp service, can I do it? You know, what's required? And then everyone who purchases is given a packet. Typically, any place that I've ever been, they're given a packet and then they forget and ask you anyway. So yes. it's so true. It's actually funny. So what we're going to talk about today is, first of all, if you have a 100 amp service at your house, that doesn't mean that you can't put in a hot tub or a swim spa. But I would bet doing a dual temp would probably be difficult / impossible. But I can tell you this, my mother has a TheraPool, 100 amp service, because we checked it, and I thought it was bigger. I thought my grandfather had redone that, but he didn't do the air. He did the breaker box, but he never did the service. So it was a 100 amp service in there. So she's got central air. She's got a few other electrical things. She's got a mini split for upstairs. You know, she's got some stuff on there, but they ran that, and it is absolutely perfect with a 100 amp service on a swim spa.
Yeah.
And that swim spa doesn't require any more demand than this big 15 footer that I'm in, or even an 18 footer, as long as it's 50 amps. So my mother theoretically could run any of them except for a dual temp at her house on 100 amps, as long as it's not too overloaded. If it's overloaded, well, then that's a different scenario. So then you're going to get into a couple different scenarios. And one is, do you have room in the panel, or can room be made? So it's not always that easy. So that's just the question. And, you know, Mare, maybe you want to share a couple of situations we've had with electricians. Some are great, some are less than great. So,
you know, a lot lot of times it's supposed to be a really easy job to hook up, especially a hot tub is a pretty general job for an electrician, but a lot of times they're wired incorrectly and they end up tripping the breaker and then, things
Oh, I
happen
was
to the
saving
hot
that
tub.
one, Mare. I was saving the neutral, the white wire. I
Oh,
was saving that. So
sorry.
don't do that yet. Electricians we're gonna pick on the whole time. So there are very good ones who are like, of course this is like day one stuff. What are you, dumb? And I love them. They can call me dumb all day
Yeah.
long as long as they do their job right. Then there's the guys who think they're the smartest electricians in the world, and then they wire it incorrectly. So, or don't understand, or don't listen to what we recommend. So, okay, man, this is a very wide
It is.
topic,
Yeah.
because every scenario is different. So if anyone is watching and you have specific questions, go ahead and ask them. Mary, help me keep an eye on those.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Richard Markovich, Chris hears both. All right. All right. Can hear fine. Angie, Cindy, hello. All right. So, what do you want, Mary? You pick where you want to start.
Well, I was going to ask, so if someone doesn't have enough electrical,
Yep.
or even if they do have enough, but they just don't have an open panel,
Yep.
an open 50 amp breaker, let's say for a hot tub.
Okay.
What do they have to do?
Okay. So a couple of scenarios. Let's say someone had 200 amp service, so they really weren't overloaded, because it takes a lot to overload 200 amps. We don't really see that very often. So think about it this way. Let's say if you look in your panel, and each one is, let's say, a 15 amp breaker, that's for like light switches and that sort of thing. That's one pole. You need a dual pole 50 for a swim spa or a hot tub. So you need two spaces in the board, or in the breaker panel. Okay, so you need two full spaces in there so that you can put a big one. Now, we hear there's a lot of misconceptions. People will often say, I don't have 240. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Every house has 240. It's just two hot legs of whatever you have. Okay, so everybody has 240. You just don't have a dedicated 240 line run to the hot tub yet. No one does. Okay, so, but there are people who come in and then they're not sure they even have the ability to wire that, and of course you do. Okay, so now if that panel's full, there's a couple things that you can do. And every electrician is different, okay? Every code is different. So we're just doing sort of general broad brush strokes here, but we've had electricians, not even be willing to talk about mini breakers, or not even interested in cleaning up a panel to open up two spots, which they can easily do. They're not accustomed to you speaking their language, however, and a lot of times will not like it. Sort of as if you question a doctor, they're not going to like it very much. Electricians believe they're at the same level as doctors. They're not, okay? And they're just not. Okay, so don't be afraid. Now, we've had electricians say to someone, just get it, I can make anything work. That's the guy you want, or girl. And we've had electricians say, you need a whole new everything, and the job is now $7,000. And then the people just lose their minds.
Sure.
That's the guy you don't want.
Right.
And we've had it happen so many times that, we're sort of getting a bad taste in our mouth as you're seeing about your average electrician. All right. They can be prickly. So make sure you choose correctly. If you get a good electrician, it's easy and they know what they're doing. Like the guy Pat, who wired my mother's, he wired mine, he wired the one here. He's done Anthony's Challenger 19 that's probably the most difficult install for an electrician, is the Challenger 19 dual temp, but there's some more components to it. He sort of looked at me when I said, make sure you do that neutral correctly. He looked at me like I was the dumbest person in the world, which of course to him at that moment I was, and he really knows what he's doing. He's great. Most electricians are going to be great. There are a couple out there, don't be afraid to question them. If they tell you need a whole panel, you need another electrician to come and confirm that, because according to my guy, he can make damn near anything work. And he's running a swim spa on my mother's 100, so I'm going to trust that guy.
Yeah.
He's clearly not trying to bump the job up into a new panel for my mother or a new 200 amp service for my mother. You know, he's just a great guy, and they exist. So that's, first of all, you need an electrician who understands what's going on, and then we'll go from there. Most of the time, electricians will have specific questions. We will have them contact us directly so we can go over them so that there's nothing lost in translation. So at a general basic rule, 50 amps will work in most homes unless you've got something crazy going on there. That's a different scenario. And there's so many scenarios, Mayor, like it's tough to answer, you know, every single situation unless, because it's specific. So, you know, people often ask, well, how much does it cost to run electrical for this? It's impossible for anyone to answer that other than the electrician running it. Cost of materials, how far it is away from the panel. They need to know all that stuff. All that stuff goes in as a factor when you're, you know, pricing that stuff. But, you know, copper is up, so it's a little hunk. You know what I mean? To me, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a little hunk these days. Like everything else, big shock. So now we get to the Challengers. The Challengers come with the GFCI, and it's a Siemens GFCI, and it must be used. We get two things weekly. One is an electrician didn't use the GFCI that MasterSpas provides on the Challenger, and the other one being that they did the neutral wrong. And I'm not going to get into commenting on that, but I can tell you, if you have a brand new hot tub, swim spa, whatever, and as soon as you turn it on, the breaker trips, take a picture of how that breaker is wired in the little mini panel. Actually, I can show you the box I'm talking about, that box right there. Take a picture of how it's wired and send that to the service tech at your dealership. I don't know of any dealer who can't look at that in 2 seconds and say it's wired right, it's wired wrong. Okay, so that's the first thing. Don't freak out. Your electrician's gonna blame us, and we're gonna blame them. That's how this works. Once a week, an electrician wires it incorrectly. If they follow the diagram specifically and perfectly, they'll do it correctly. A lot of times they're going to say, this is basic day one stuff, and then they just wire it really quickly. I'm sure afterwards they go, duh, it's supposed to be that way. Everybody makes mistakes. That includes us, and that includes electricians. It also includes doctors. Okay, so Challenger, you must use our special Siemens GFCI, okay? The variable speed pumps don't like the regular ones, and if you don't do that, it will trip over and over, even when it's wired correctly. So for us, that's the first thing that we look for. And I will say this, and now I'm gonna defend electricians, because one scenario that's a little tricky is a Challenger 19. Challenger 19, you must use the variable speed pump GFCI on the swim side, but not on the hot tub side. And then if you just look in the pack in there, if you open up the cabinet and you look at the two packs, they're next to each other like this, you need to know which one is in there. So it takes a little, they need to slow down for a second and pay attention. And it's been reversed plenty of times. And actually, I'll go one step further. I have seen Master put the sticker on the wrong one about which one was labeled. I've seen that. So it is possible, okay? We don't see it a lot, but I have seen it. So, and I'm not saying, hey, MasterSpas are made in heaven and everything is absolutely perfect. We've made mistakes. Electricians make mistakes. The key is to just, let's figure it out and not freak out.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the key. People, they get unhinged when something is, it's not a car. There's more moving parts like that, and it's more of a construction job than it is a car, whereas a car, you turn the key, it starts, and most of the stuff works. Maybe they'll miss a blinker, they'll miss something, that wasn't tested. It's got a bad relay or something stupid in there, but it happens to everything that's manufactured. Okay, so the key is to be on the lookout for it. 90, what do you think, Mayor? 8% of the time, it's totally normal.
Yeah.
And everything's fine, but you only hear about the ones where
right.
people are freaking out. Okay, so don't freak out. Go ahead.
Someone asked how you know how many amps you have in your house.
Okay, good question. So if you go to your main panel where your circuit breakers are in, I always use the wrong words. I'm not an electrician. And you open it up, you have a main breaker. Typically it's at the top. On that main breaker, it'll say 100, 150, or 200 right on the actual, where you shut off the main. So you'll have all of them up and down like this. Then up top, you'll have a sideways, like a big breaker, and it'll say how many amps are in there. The only exception to that rule is if you have another panel someplace. Some crazy homes, Mayor, will have a panel on one end of the house and one on the other, and you have to figure it out. So sometimes we've seen houses with 400 amps. We've seen houses with a 100 over here and a 100 over there, or another 200, and they brought it in on the other end of the house for whatever reason. Okay, so that's the main way to do it, is look at that breaker. Most homes will have one. Most homes will have just an easy, you can read 150, 100, 200. We don't see 150 very often. It's typically going to be a 100 or a 200. Okay, anything built from the 80s, 90s up is going to be 200 typically, unless it's a certain size of a house, and then you might see your 150s there. That's at least my experience. Okay. Oh, awesome. Melissa won. Very cool. Very cool. Master does swag. Master's good at swag. Yep. All right. So is there any other questions it worked exactly, Melissa. And that's what they're supposed to do. Some electricians will look at the diagram and they go, yep, no problem, done, and it's done. The ones who just refuse to look at the picture because they know everything, those are the ones where we have trouble with, and it's one a week out of, I don't know how many thousand being installed. It's not, it's not a huge number, but it happens enough that we can mention it, okay? So we see the challengers not using, and what happens with the challengers, actually, Mary, this is good right here. What happens with the challengers is the electrician comes before the swim spa gets there. The breaker that we provide is in the swim spa. So they don't have it yet. So they go grab a regular one and they put it on there like they're all the same, it'll work, and then it doesn't work. And that's always the scenario it happens in. As soon as they switch that out, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone who, your dealer should let you know ahead of time that if you have it wired ahead of time, have them run the wire right to where the breaker goes and stop there. That's the best way to do it if you want to get a jump on it. Okay, so it's, let's see, electrician used images. I'm just reading the comments here. Am I missing anything? Good. Matt Kershaw, what's up, dude? Good to see you, buddy. All right. Belgium, that's fun. All right, it happened with our swim spa. It was a quick fix. I'm assuming that's Kayla, right? Absolutely, it happens frequently enough.
And then Richard asked about the breaker.
I'm sorry?
Richard asked about the breaker that's included as a 50 amps.
It is, Richard. It's a 50 amp Siemens, and that's for the Challengers. And they do one on the Challenger 19. So if you go and buy a Challenger 19, you will only find one Siemens VSP, approved breaker in there. The hot tub side can run any standard off the shelf GFCI. So you don't need to do that on the hot tub side of a dual temp. Okay. All right. So what about tying the swim spa into a whole house generator? Anything to know, or is it not a problem at all? Tom. Okay. All right, Tom. I've got more information than you could possibly want on this. What are we? So Tom, actually answer this if you can. What are we talking about? Swim spa or hot tub? And I actually need to know the model because it does matter.
He has a swim spa.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he has a Trainer 15 deep. Huh? I think it's a Trainer 15 deep.
Why do you know that?
Just a guess.
Are you guessing on like statistics?
No.
Or you think you remember?
I think I remember.
Trainer, she was right. Trainer 15D. Jesus, scary. Honestly, Mary, it's ridiculous. Your brain is. Honestly, that was a waste of space. You should use that on something useful rather than remembering Tom's model number. Okay, so Tom, that will be fine on a GFC on a whole house generator. That's fine. The Challengers cannot be run on that because they do not like the waves. Is my understanding. Although we experienced it personally in Hawaii, if you run a generator, the power, the waves in between the whatever they are, I don't understand. They're different. And I will tell you that a Challenger will be driven crazy on a generator. Crazy and will not work correctly. Am I clear enough, Mary?
Yes.
Do you remember?
I remember.
Yes. So we learned that one the hard way. Now, the funny part is we mentioned that to Sammy, who is one of the big bosses at Master, and he's like, I could have told you that. Why did you try it? And we're like, oh my.
But it's not the same.
He just knew right off the top of his head. It was hysterical, huh?
It's not the same for the regular pumps, right? Like a trainer or a Therapool.
No, it's not. Trainer's fine. Hot tubs are fine. It's the variable speed pumps that they don't like. You shush. It's the VSPs don't like the generator. So any other model will be fine. Although I will tell you, Tom, that often, you know, I don't think I've ever seen a swim spa freeze in my own personal experience or a modern hot tub. So you have days, and if you just put the little heater in the cabinet and turn it on and blow some hot air around, it will never freeze, man. So don't feel like you have to do it. I didn't do that with mine at all. I didn't bother. Okay. What, Mary?
Melissa, we aren't doing a giveaway today, but if you join the fitness challenge, the 1590-day fitness challenge, and you submit your videos each week, then you will be entered in to win an additional swag for participating in that challenge. So make sure you do that, because I'm sure it's going to be a pretty cool giveaway as well.
I'm just going through here. Home house generator, Therapool D, absolutely, Jamie, no problem. Normal pumps, Beth said, I remember too. That was a bad day.
It was.
And
Poor you and Kevin.
Yes. Kevin is still not prepared to talk about it. I hope he was watching. He would be like, I'm not. I am not. Let's see. What else do we have? Any other questions? We're good. Where are we caught up, Mary?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So now, Michael Phelps swim spas. They have a built-in GFCI, so you actually don't need one. So there's all these different criteria, different rules.
What about for the 19, the Momentum?
I'm sorry?
What about for the Momentum?
So the Momentum is built in?
Both sides?
No, I think only the swim side.
Yeah.
I think it would be very similar to a Challenger.
Okay.
19. So, because it would be normal on the other side. But on the Michael Phelps series, like the Signature, they come with it built in, and I'm sure it's built in for the reason of that. I can't think of the name right now. What controls that motor? Because it's like 1% increments, so it's variable speed. So, although a fancier version of the VSPs. Okay. It's a different system because that's an electric motor as opposed to a pump.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that is built in. Same thing. I'm sure you need a separate one for the hot tub on a Momentum. I don't know that for sure. I'm sure someone will correct me, and we can of course find out if you need to know that. It's not something I don't recall. I believe. I feel like I have dealt with that. Could have been a while ago though. So any specific questions, guys, fire off a message. We'll get to you. Okay.
Someone just asked about the 5-foot distance on the outside.
Okay. So 5-foot distance. Let's see. It tells me does not. Mary, I can't get that. I can't read the C more. I need you to help.
It says, can you explain the 5-foot distance on the outside breaker that leads to the spa? My electrician tells me 680.41 does not apply to single dwellings. I don't know what that
assuming that's a code.
is. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a code. You're asking me to comment on your local code, which I cannot do. I'm not an electrician anyway, and I'm certainly not one wherever you live. But typically, the general rule of thumb is that 5, some places is 6 feet, 5 feet. It's so that if you're in the hot tub or swim spa, you can't reach the breaker while you're in the water. That's why they want that. You need a shut off out there. It needs to constitute as a shut off. Most codes want a shut off out there, and that GFCI does work in that. In a residential, you don't need a big shut off unless you want to overdo things. As far as your electrician saying that doesn't apply to residential dwelling, I have not heard of that. If that is the number that you're telling me. I don't know the code numbers for electrical code in your town. I mean, I couldn't possibly know that. But I would tell you that on a normal install at home, you don't want it closer than that, no matter what the electrician says. And common sense would dictate that. But again, I'm not sure we're on the same page with your question there. Okay, let's see. My spa is still waiting to get filled. It just got delivered, and I'm still doing the deck around before filling. Awesome. Mike Peters, what's up, buddy? What else do we got?
His Chiefs won. He's got a big game coming up.
Huh?
Spanky's got his big game coming up. With his Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I know I saw people running around with Chiefs shirts on Facebook.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I don't watch any of it. It's freeing. So, okay. What else?
I did see a funny post today that the Super Bowl is I'm excited for the Rihanna concert with the Chiefs and Eagles as secondary entertainment. It was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that she's ever done a Super Bowl before that
I don't think so.
That's
and
fun.
She hasn't performed in a while.
Right.
So.
Okay, so Bill Johnson. We've had our 18D and Graham 45 days and absolutely love it. Heck yeah.
Awesome.
That's great. Bill, on the electrical, no problem. Is it 18D? Is that a trainer? Is it a challenger? Bill.
Bueller.
Yeah, the trainer. And then, and it's like the trainers and the hot tubs, man, we've run them on some like junky power and like 3-phase 208, and they love it. It's the challengers that don't like the generators and that stuff. The variable speed pumps need nice solid power, but the trainers, you could run those on like, crazy stuff. Trainer and no problems. Awesome.
Great.
Yeah. You know what? When an electrician just takes a look at the diagram, for a second, then they know. Then they never make a mistake. It's the ones who don't look that it goes like you think it does. My generator is not big enough to run the spa. It's only 50 amp generator. You don't need to, Bill. I wouldn't feel like you need to do anything about that. I have not seen a swim spa freeze. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm not putting mine on generator. I don't have a whole house generator, but I have a good size portable generator that I can run, and I shut everything off and backfeed the house. I don't run that on there at all and have no desire to upgrade to that whole house that would include the swim spa. There's just no need for it. Okay. So don't feel like you have to do that unless you just really want to and you're just one of those guys. And then do whatever the heck makes you happy, man. All right. What did I miss, Mayor?
I think we got all of the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't talk? Jim, what's up, man?
The only thing that I just wanted to make sure that we told everybody that although we didn't show the next 2 weeks exercises in the live today, they will be posted. You'll get your email with them. Ben and I filmed them last week, and we will be the next exercises, the next 2 weeks of exercises for weeks 5 and 6. You'll be getting that email with those exercises and explanations. And it's another 2 weeks of building on that muscle endurance. So expect more burning, more resistance, longer reps, like more reps. So, and don't forget to send in your videos to be entered for the swag. And just wanted to let you know that even though we weren't doing them on the live, the videos on the live today, they will be posted. And if you have any questions, just send in a message on Facebook and we'll get them.
You know what? We didn't talk about 110s at all.
Oh, you're right.
I heard a woof out of there. Captain is woofing at something. So it's just a low-key woof. You'll hear if he decides to go big boy bark. So 110s, our 110s are 15 amps, not 20. Here's what you need to know. It is plug and play. However, it needs to be on It's supposed to be on a dedicated circuit. Supposed to be. I feel like nobody does that. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, Mary.
Just mean that nothing else can be on the same breaker?
So there's a couple ways to accomplish that. And one is to have an electrician run a wire to a plug that's there. And it comes with a GFCI built in on our cord on the 110s. So you don't need to put a GFCI breaker. In fact, you don't want double GFCI, so it messes things up. So just any outdoor breaker. So we see a couple of things. One, I don't believe that people run a dedicated line very often. However, if it's on your patio or deck and there's a plug out there, very often it's its own circuit anyway, and there's not a lot running on there. So that's why we don't see, problems with that very often. In fact, I don't even recall anyone calling saying, hey, this thing's tripping the breaker. But if you had a little bit older house, 100 amp service that was pretty loaded up, and then you have your little patio poured out back, which is perfect place to throw a hot tub, but it's on the backside of your kitchen. It's possible that outside electrical outlet is actually tied in on your kitchen circuit. If it's a kitchen circuit, you will probably pop that breaker. Yeah. So what's going to happen is this. When you turn it on, let's say there's a microwave or a coffee maker, any of those things that draw big amperage, they're going to take that 15 amps, and a kitchen breaker might even have 20 amps available to it in 110, but it's going to eat that up. So if you have a coffee maker, like even in my house, in the back side of the house is all new. When I run the coffee maker, I get a couple of flicks out of the lights. I mean, it draws. So the coffee maker is that resistance heat. It's going to draw a pretty big amount. So if you have your hot tub on the backside of that circuit and there's a coffee maker, a hair dryer actually draws 9-10 amps. If you have it, running on something that's big, you are going to trip that breaker and need to figure that out. A lot of times you can just rearrange what's going on in there and do that, but it is supposed to be dedicated. The rule is dedicated line. So make it as dedicated as you possibly can, okay? That's your 110s. Again, do we see a problem with them? I actually don't recall ever seeing one. Michael, wait. Oh, wait a second. Michael, are you saying I should use a coffee maker in my swim spa? You should. No one else should. So, everyone, Michael is a friend and royal wise ass. So, I mean, I'm using my one ass for that for him for the episode, and he is a lovely sense of humor on this man. So, Mike, I trust you to use your best judgment. Whatever works for you is fine. Everyone else, no. Do not use a coffee maker in your swim spa. All right. What else we got? Awesome. I'm telling Susan. Hey, I get one crap, one ass each episode. I realize I said it 3 times now, but it's the same one. We're referring to the same one, so that's one. Okay? I didn't use any of the big ones. Don't tell on me. Come on, Kayla. That's not cool. All right, what else? 33 after. We're doing great. So 110s, dedicated. Clarity, Twilight, LSX, 50 amp, 240 volts. Supposed to be number 6 wire. If your electrician wants to alter off of that, he shouldn't. It should be number 6. Okay? It's 2 hots, a neutral, and a ground. Your trainers and TheraPools, all the same as the hot tubs. Things don't change until you get to Challenger. At Challenger,
well, except the 19s are 100 amps.
Oh, right. Good point. So the Trainer 19 is 100 amps. It's 2 of those 50s. When you get to the Challenger, you must use the Siemens. It's still a regular 50 amps. There's no difference in what you're running there, but you must use the breaker that we supply, and we do supply it. On the Challenger 19, it's 1 of each. You are responsible for the regular breaker for the hot tub side, and we are responsible for the Siemens breaker, and we do that part. Then when you get to the Michael Phelps, it's actually built into the unit. On the Challenger, it's not. It's a box that mounts on the wall.
Hey, Mike McClure
yes, I
might
realize
know.
Mine is close. Huh?
Mike McClure might know if it needs the second GFCI on the 19 on the Michael Phelps.
He's not paying attention anymore. He made one snarky comment and he booked. He's out of there, I bet.
But the Michael Phelps, they are 100 amps and then 130 amps.
External. Okay. Actually, Kirk just answered. Yep. You were right, Mayor.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you, Kirk. I appreciate it. Kirk is always watching.
Big brother.
Kirk, are you watching because you like us, or are you watching because you want to make sure we don't say anything extra stupid? He's never going to answer that. Mike McClure, GFCI's all around. Snarky snark. Snarkity snark. All right, this is good. All right, so yes, so Kirk confirmed that. The GFCI that's built in on the Michael Phelps covers the swim side. Electrician is responsible for the external for the hot tub side. Okay, no comment. Awesome. All right, everybody's in a good mood today.
And then just reiterate in the Michael Phelps force and signature, it's 100 amps, and then in the momentum, the 130.
Yep, that's right.
Because of the powerful current.
Right, they're all XP Pro now. It's so beastly.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good. Is there any questions that I didn't see? And did
I
you
think
get
we
any
got them all.
questions, Mary?
No, I think we didn't get any questions today ahead of time, and I think we got all of the ones on here. We will be back in 2 weeks, Wednesday, February 15th, normal time. Andy, you should definitely buy yourself a swim spa.
Yeah, for sure. Andy, it makes life better. Our toys make life better.
Yes.
Simple as that. So you should. We would encourage.
But we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
What does the pad under a Therapool D need? Oh, hang on a sec.
Yep.
Can you read that, Mary? I can't read the end of it.
Yeah, it says exactly what does the pad under a Therapool Deep need? Does it need to be bigger than the external dimensions?
Oh, I got it.
And how thick? And does it need to be reinforced?
You want to answer? Go ahead.
Sure. So for our requirements, it needs to be just the same size as the Therapool, so 11 by 8. If you wanted to make it any larger than that, to put steps on or to have like a bib around it, that would be up to you. So if you wanted to do it like maybe 13 by 10 or 15 by 10, again, Captain, totally up to you. We recommend if you're pouring a new pad to pour it 6 inches thick and reinforce with either mesh or rebar.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it, Mary. You all set?
Yeah, we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Have a great night. And if you have any other questions, post them on here and we'll get to them later.
Right on.
Good night.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. And anyone who hasn't watched yet, still put where you're watching from. We like to see that stuff. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.